So like the other games in the series, Dying Light the Beast is full of things to see and do. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at 25 Easter egg secrets and hidden details in Dying Light the Beast. Now, the world of Dying Light the Beast is a dangerous one, and you might be looking for something to give you the edge when fighting the undead. Well, how does anime girl thigh sound? No, not that anime girl thigh. This anime girl thigh. I've partnered with GamerSupps for one reason and one reason alone. Nope, not that, though it does help. I've partnered with them because they cured me of my Red Bull addiction. I was drinking a can of Red Bull every day for months, and those are not only loaded with sugar and who knows what else, but they are also really expensive. Since switching to GamerSupps, I haven't touched a can of Red Bull. Well, apart from that one, but you get the point. So instead of Red Bull, I now drink Dragon Fruit Punch, which gives me the energy boost I need without the tablespoons of sugar that I don't. And if you want the GamerSupps taste without the caffeine, GamerSupps also offers caffeine-free versions that are not only packed with vitamins, but also have zero sugar and less than 1 calorie per serving. Each tub contains 100 servings, so even one tub can last you for weeks, maybe even months, and a serving works out at just 40 cents, which is much cheaper than a can of Red Bull. If you use my link in the description or in my pinned comment and use code CAP, you'll get 10% off your first order and every order after that. If, like me, you find yourself drinking way too many energy drinks, GamerSupps may be exactly what you need to kick the habit. A big thank you to GamerSupps for partnering with the channel, and without further delay, let's get started. Right, let's begin with an Easter egg that's going to seriously test your patience. At this location on the map, you can find a locked door on the roof. After picking the door's lock, you can then knock on this box. But nothing happens. Well, that's because you didn't want it enough. Simply knock a total of 77 times, and this will happen. So, after a whopping 77 knocks, the door will open and you'll be rewarded with a legendary machete named after the game's producers Simon Strauss and Michael Broder. As for the machete seen in The Beast, I mean, it's nothing special. Well, apart from the music that plays with every slash of a zombie. The next Easter egg weapon isn't particularly well hidden. In fact, it's actually on display for all to see. At this location on the map, you can find an axe displayed on a wall. The description of the weapon says, in case of throwing, return to sender. Well, let's put that to the test. Okay, so it was actually telling the truth. Throwing this axe at an enemy will cause it to return straight back to you. Oh, and if like me you didn't know that you could throw weapons in the Beast, all you need to do is simply charge up a power attack and then click the right analog stick in. Anyway, whenever I see an axe flying through the air only to return to the thrower seconds later, I think of Kratos and his axe from the God of War games. Well, the more recent God of War games. Speaking of video game referencing weapons, at this location on the map, you can find a blueprint for the tempered crowbar on top of a silo. The description for the weapon reads, a free man is bound to master this weapon in half his life, which is of course a reference to Gordon Freeman, the crowbar-wielding star of the Half-Life series, who has appeared in Easter egg form in tons of games, including Vladik Brutal and Stalker. If for some reason you were still in doubt about this one, next to the blueprint is a valve, and underneath that is the lambda symbol, which forms part of the Half-Life logo, which is pretty easy to miss. Right, let's take a break from legendary weapons for a minute to discuss the in-game map. The map itself is a battered tourist pamphlet, so it shows all the creases and rips that you would expect. Well, something that I did find really cool is if you pull up the map when it's raining, the rain will actually land on the map in real time. It's a nice effect that the devs didn't have to include. Also on the map, if you zoom in right at the bottom, you can find Crystal Lake. Now, you can't visit the lake in-game, and perhaps that's for the best, as Crystal Lake is the home of Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th movies. Another cool detail can be seen in the menus. Before a fight, Crane looks like this, ripped and ready for action. While after a particularly bloody encounter, if you go back to the menus, you can see that Crane is still ripped and ready for action, but now he's covered in blood, which is really cool. Onto something more subtle now. Have you ever noticed the bracelet that Crane is wearing? Well, this bracelet is actually the necklace that Jade wore in Dying Light. which is a nice touch. Now, this next Easter egg is still a bit of a mystery if I'm honest, so I'm hoping that someone watching knows what it means. At this location on the map, you can find a house with some very unlucky skeletons inside. So we have a skeleton caught in a cement mixer, a skeleton drilled to death while sitting on the toilet, and one that thought that drinking out of the toilet was a good idea. Now I get that it's a zombie apocalypse, so skeletons shouldn't be that surprising, but it's the deaths of these skeletons that leaves me confused. In the same building, you can also find this shrine, or at least it looks like a shrine to me. A figure has been drawn on the wall in blood, and the picture of a woman can be found below. Like I said, this one is a bit of a mystery, and honestly I do think there is more to it. So if you know something that I don't, please let me know in the comments. Sticking with skeletons, however, this one isn't much of a mystery. At this location, you can find this. So this skeleton was riding a bus the day everything went down, and I'm assuming he was so comfortable he just accepted his fate. Anyway, if we take a look at the note the skeleton is holding, we can see that they were writing a song called Choose Yourself. Allow me to share the lyrics with you. His toes are sweaty, lips weak, balls are heavy. There's vomit on his hoodie already, dad's spaghetti. So this wannabe rap god, who is looking awfully slim these days, appears to be pretty shady, as I'm sure I've heard lyrics like that before. Okay, I'll stop with the puns. This skeleton is a reference to Eminem and his song Lose Yourself.
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already, mom's spaghetti.
Oh, and the way the skeleton is sitting is also a reference to this scene from Eminem's surprisingly decent movie, 8 Mile. Now, one of my favourite Easter eggs from Dying Light 1 was Expcalibur. This massive sword would send zombies flying with a single swing. And you'll be pleased to know that it's back in Dying Light the Beast, but it does require some work. First of all, you'll need to find and collect 8 of these stone sigils. I won't be sharing the locations for them all here because that would take too long, so I'll link to a smaller creator's guide in the description. Just make sure you shout at me if I forget. Now I should mention that 7 of these sigils can be found right at the start of the game, but one of them needs you to have completed the Some Like It Dark quest, which is the 8th quest in the story. After finding all 8 sigils, take him to this location on the map where you can find a sword that you can't interact with. Place the sigils down and this will happen. So a charging zombie will spawn. Be careful as it can easily knock you off the edge, just give it a couple of drop kicks to send it falling to its doom. Now all you have to do is pick up the sword, though it does take a while. So after 2.5 minutes of pulling, Expcalibur is yours. So let's see what it does. I mean, if I'm honest, I'm kind of disappointed. The Expcalibur in the first game launched zombies with each strike, but the sword in this game just acts like a normal big-ass sword. It does do a lot of damage and chops zombies in half with alarming regularity, which looks awesome, but I really wanted to see zombies fly. Now, Expcalibur isn't the only weapon in the beast that requires you to find random items, and nothing is more random than the humble stick. Well, okay, calling this a stick is unfair, but you'll need to find 6 of these branches. Again, I'll leave a link to a guide in the description. Again, shout at me if I don't. After finding these 6 branches, you then need to take them to this location on the map and help the beaver finish his dam. Once you've finished placing the branches, the dam will look like this, which doesn't exactly scream structurally sound. Well, go and take a nap and then see how it looks. So the beaver has been busy, as now the dam is looking much more solid, though there is something that you might have missed. Under the water, you can find this. So it's a secret hideout, and judging by the family pictures, either a beaver lives down here with his family, or someone is a really big fan of beavers. Now, there's not much to do in this room, but you can take another nap.
Pobor, kurwa, ja pierdola ale bydla.
So when you wake up, you'll be greeted by a giant beaver zombie. I mean, it's more likely the national park mascot still in costume, but giant beaver zombie sounds much scarier. Now, this big guy can take quite a lot of damage, but he will go down eventually, and when he does, you'll be able to use the beaver stick, which is a pretty powerful weapon. So, Dying Like the Beast wouldn't be a zombie game without a reference to The Walking Dead. Some of you may remember the Walking Dad nod in Dying Light 2, but the one in The Beast is one that we've seen a few times before. At several different locations on the map, you can find this. So it's the "Don't open Dead Inside" message seen in the show. Like I said, a couple of other games have used this message before, and given how much stuff there is to reference in The Walking Dead, I'm kinda hoping that devs switch it up in the future. The other TV show reference is much more niche, and because of that, way cooler. At this location on the map, you can climb a really big chimney. It does take some time to climb, so hopefully whatever is at the top is worth it. Well, when you finally reach the summit, you can find Mulder's sunflower seeds, which were produced at Fox Farms. I mean, I was hoping for a legendary weapon, not a snack that gets stuck in your teeth. Well, these seeds are a reference to Fox Mulder, a character from the X-Files who used to snack on sunflower seeds in the show. It's a pretty cool reference, but there is more to it. If you pick up the seeds and quit to the main menu, this will happen. So now Crane will be eating the seeds at the game's main menu. I don't know how long this lasts, I mean he stopped eating them in my game, but it's still a really clever Easter egg. Up next are a couple of the more debatable quote-unquote Easter eggs that I found in The Beast, starting with this guy. So quickly, without thinking, which video game character do you think this could be a reference to? Well, the Dying Light community, or at least some of it, seem to think that this is James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2. And you know what? I do kind of see it. Some of the other suggestions are Leon Kennedy, who appeared in Dying Light 2 under the name of Leon Kennedy, or the guy that shoots himself after being bitten earlier in the story. Like I said, it's a debatable one, so I'll be interested to hear your theories. The other Easter egg that I'm not sure about can be found here on the map. So it's a truck that has had an unfortunate run-in with a log. Again, some people think it's a reference to Final Destination 2 and the famous highway pile-up where a truck carrying logs caused a similar scene. The only problem I have with that theory is that in the movie it was a cop car that was impaled, and there are cop cars in The Beast, so if this was a reference to that scene, why not use a cop car instead of a truck? Perhaps I'm being picky, so let me know what you think of both of these in the comments. Now, you might be surprised to learn that there are two hidden challenges in Dying Like the Beast, with one of them really easy to start, and the other, well, the other's not so easy. First up, at this location on the map, you can find this. So you can actually ride a bike down a mountain in a time trial event. I mean, for a game that is not at all about riding bikes, this plays pretty well. The other hidden challenge requires some preparation. At this location on the map, you can find a combine harvester, and unlike other farming equipment in the game, you have the option to fuel this one up. Here's the thing, this bad boy requires a lot, and I do mean a lot of fuel. It took me 33 cans of fuel to fill it up, but let's just say it was worth it. So after refueling the combine harvester, you can use it to mow down zombies as much as you want. Well, there is a time limit, but you get what I mean. Now, we all know that when it's daytime, the Volatiles stay in their nests and rest. I mean, tearing Crane to pieces every night is tiring work. Well, at this location on the map, you can find some Volatiles that aren't resting. So after picking the locked door, you can find a group of Volatile standing around having a chat. Once they realise that they're being watched, they start to give chase, which is suitably terrifying. Now, I don't know if these Volatiles are part of some super secret book club or are just planning the night's activities, but what I do know is, it's really creepy. Okay, so from a creepy Volatile meetup to a weapon-wielding vegetable. At this location on the map, you can find this. So, sitting in the chimney is a potato wearing glasses, holding a knife, and smoking a cigarette. And for the life of me, I don't get what the reference is. Of course, it might not even be a reference and just be a funny gag, but if you've seen a potato wearing glasses, holding a knife and smoking a cigarette before, then please let me know. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain that it's a rule that if a video game has a sewer level, then it must reference the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Take the Hydro Puzzle quest, for example. Here, you need to wade through the sewers to find out who or what is making a mysterious knocking sound. Well, if you take a wrong turn, you can find this. So it's the familiar sight of pizza boxes in a sewer. You can even find a dead rat on one of the boxes, which I'm guessing is a nod to Master Splinter, but as of yet, I haven't seen any sign of the turtles. Right, the final Easter egg is probably the best of the bunch. At this location on the map, you can find platform 9 3/4, which is of course a reference to Harry Potter. Now, in the Harry Potter movies, people just ran straight through the wall at platform 9 3/4, and you can do that in the Beast, though what's on the other side will surprise you. So inside the tunnel are a bunch of Minecraft blocks, and just like Minecraft, you can destroy these blocks pretty easily. Though do be careful, because just like the dark caves of Minecraft, you can run into zombies. So that's 2 of the 3 Easter eggs, but the final one is probably the best of the lot. Okay, so it's a train, which isn't that exciting. Well, that's where you'd be wrong. This train is a reference to an urban legend that claims Nazis hid a train loaded with gold and treasure during the final days of World War II. It's a cool story, but despite numerous searches, no trace of the train, its tracks, or treasure have ever been found. Still, next to the train in-game, you can find some gold bars. Oh, and the last hand of Glover, which does this. So fans of Dying Light and Dead Island will already be familiar with the power of Glover, as it has appeared in previous Techland games before, though given that this one is called the last hand of Glover, perhaps this is going to be the final Glover hand that we can find. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and secrets in games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that's what this channel is all about. YouTube seems to think that you'll like the video on screen now, so go and give that a watch, and as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.